be good for you. They better be awake.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, welcome back to the #1 financial literacy podcast in the world. Sitting next to me, the one and only, Saied Omar.
Wow, not your partner in time anymore, huh?
No, I got choked up. Getting
Yeah,
emotional
I know. I noticed that. Sitting next to me, my partner in crime, Chris and Haroon. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
And behind the ones and twos, the man who pops cans better than anybody you know, the one and only DJ Haroon.
Hello, hello.
I feel like calling you a DJ is watering down the significance of your value. I mean, you do a lot. I mean,
If
between
anyone
the cameras,
knows me, I know nothing about music.
That hello sound a lot like hey.
Jesus. Can you even reference that show anymore?
Why? What's wrong with it? I don't know anything about
Fat
it.
Albert?
What's
That's
wrong
like
with it?
cancel culture 101, baby. You
I didn't
can't
know
you
that.
can't be called Fat
Well, I
Albert.
didn't even know. I didn't even
Not
know.
to mention, it's Bill Cosby doing the voice.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
What do you mean? So now you can't even talk about any of the lessons you've learned on Bill Cosby Show? There was no.
Bro, there are so many shows from back in the day that you could not. Married to Children. You could not do that show today.
Nope. Zero
I
chance.
loved that show growing up.
I remember it was one of the shows my parents knew I shouldn't be watching. What is this? The Adventures of Fat Albert and the Cosby. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, Bill Cosby architected this show. I think he was the voice of Fat Albert, right? Or wasn't he? Oh, yeah, Jesus. You could not do this show anymore.
I actually never saw a full episode of this.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I remember seeing the cartoons when I was a kid. I'm a little older than you, obviously.
Obviously.
I forget how much older I am than people, man. Like, I'll go to the gym and I'll be talking to dudes and realize they're like in their 20s. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, me too. The swim coach thought I was in my 20s.
The swim coach? Oh,
Yeah.
Cardinal swim coach?
Yeah, and you know, like...
That's a lie. Chris,
Bro, come on, man.
come on, man. He lied to the people.
That's what he said.
He said, how much, let me ask you a question. How much
I
are you
didn't say he
paying?
was the smartest dude in the world. I'm just
Wait,
saying.
hold on. How much are you paying the swim coach?
I don't know.
They're
That's a
expensive,
great
dude.
Really?
Private lessons?
Yeah.
Yeah, expensive.
Just on the black card.
And
You can't
Wow,
pay.
he shots fired.
This guy doesn't hold
Actually,
back.
my card is so abused, it's turning into a gray card now. It's getting pretty worn out. But yeah, anyway, whatever. Let's just get into the show before I incriminate myself further. There'll be plenty of opportunities to make fun of my financial status in the coming articles, okay?
Yeah, let's go.
Ah, man. All right. So, Saied pointed out before the show started that some of the topics we've covered in a previous one or two shows, and that it might not be the sexy, sensational new topics we always hit. But for those of you who might be in Saeed's camp, I like to call it the ignorant camp, just have a little faith. The numbers have fresh data behind them and a new perspective to share with you. That's why at least one of us curated the content from the show. The other one just criticized.
No, it's not true, man.
Bro, you opened up firing. Well, we're not going to get through these all tonight, so let's start with this.
I mean, there's a lot of good content here that we could have split up if we wanted to dive down a little deeper into some of these articles, but...
Bro, we got
I'm all
video
for it.
quotes. We got audio stuff coming through.
I can't wait for that, Lawrence.
By the way, Haroon, be ready for those when the time comes.
And the way he called you bitch right there, that was crazy.
No, coming out fire.
What?
Yeah, he's like, get those ready. Why you got to yell at him like
I said
that?
be ready.
Why are you yelling at him, though?
Bro, you cited Fat Albert.
How about
to start the
please?
show.
Just
Come
say
on,
please.
man.
Odin, could you please have those ready?
Haroon, could you please have those ready?
Yes, sir.
It's 2023, man.
It's 2023, man. Anything else you want me to say?
Yeah.
Jesus. All right. I don't know how to. I always saw the Kobayashi letter, but I know that's not the way you pronounce it. I think it's the Kobisi letter.
Yeah.
Is that what it? Kobisi?
I don't know.
Kobe-EC? Whatever, the K letter. We'll call it that. Well, I like the Twitter Now X page. I think it's phenomenal. The little tidbits of data that come out are just really just sensational stuff. That being said, they have an interesting quote on mortgage rates hitting 8% for the first time in 23 years, and it talks a lot about affordability. That's going to be our segue into an article which I'm sure a lot of you already know and feel. There's never been a worse time to buy instead of rent, and the data from that article is compelling. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to go into the ongoing run of Fed rate hikes, quote, take away the American dream. You don't say.
That sounds oddly familiar.
Yeah, this economist says so. And just a full disclosure, if you've heard me talk shit on any one economist more than any other economist, it's probably Lawrence Yun from the National Association of Realtors.
I don't know, man. Chief economist of the higher standard gets a lot of shit, too.
Yeah, he does, but I feel like he's compensated for it financially. with that $0 salary.
With certain favors.
Yeah, I mean, you got shoes at your beck and call anytime you want.
Yeah, there you go.
You can get whatever you need. Well, Lawrence Yun is not shy to use clickbait, but I'm going to use that to point out how the National Association of Realtors is probably one of the most deceptive and manipulative trade groups I've ever experienced, and I'm one of the members. So, pot calling the kettle black, whatever. Then we're going to talk about the housing market going from tough to terrible. But yeah, there's data there. I know it sounds repetition might be kind of kicking in right now, but just bear with us. There's good there. Mm-hmm. The 30-year fixed mortgage rate just hit 8% for the first time since 2000 as Treasury yields soar, something we predicted and then talked about at great length, the relationship to bonds and the mortgage-backed security market. There's a little bit in there, which I think leads into the next article. Morgan Stanley makes a bold, tough prediction for home prices next year. See, a lot of the stuff we've talked about on previous shows, it's all coming together in this little coalescing into this magnificent little fantastic pie of information I'm going to serve you all tonight.
Surprised that it's taken this long to get to this point, me personally.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get that, but at the same time, there are people now saying you're going to see rates even higher.
I think so.
And I think, there's probably a probability of that. So we'll see what happens. I do think the geopolitical conflict is really fucked up on a humanitarian crisis level. We talked about that in the previous shows. But when you think about it in the context and you try to divorce yourself from that emotional status, and there's every right to feel that way.
It's really hard to.
It's really hard to. But when you think about it from an economic perspective, okay, you have the Speaker of the House right now, which is a bit in turmoil. But you also got a deficit issue coming up. There's no pressure on them until next week to start making decisions because there's no immediate timelines coming up. So now you've got political conflict with the Speaker, which means you can't get things done because there's not enough votes on one side or the other side of the aisle to really get a thing passed. And you can't do it without a Speaker. Plus, the biggest thing you have going is that they kick the can down the road on the national deficit issue, which, by the way, has gotten considerably worse. And we will talk about that at some point in the show, I'm sure, because it's so relevant.
I got a lot there.
And then what do you have? You have a looming election next year. Well, wartime presidents have a tendency to get reelected, and we're deploying a lot of people from the military to go out and, quote, safeguard our allies, which is government spending, which props up GDP artificially going into an election year.
Right.
I fucking hate to say it, but it does sound like somebody's manipulating something somewhere.
It does seem that way.
Yeah. So it is what it is. We'll get into another Kobisi letter, fastest declining house markets in 1 year.
They are not a sponsor of the show. We just love the content.
Yeah. Then all that lead up goes into a nice little section I like to call the shit talking session. We're going to talk a lot about the National Association of Realtors lawsuit if there's time. Real estate commissions could be the next fee on the chopping block, and frankly, I think they're making much ado about nothing. They're just saying that the National Association of Realtors can't control and demand certain types of fees, and people can set them to be whatever they want. I don't think there's a lot that's going to change, but what this will do is this will be the entry point to technology eventually displacing real estate agents as we know them. Not entirely, but certainly in certain bits and pieces.
Yes.
And then if there's time, we'll talk about M&A to explode in 2024 as roughly 1,200 companies are expected to run out of money. Wow, that was a lot.
That's what I tried to tell you before the show.
I know. I want to get deep. So deep.
Let's get deep.
All up into the details.
All right.
Yeah.
Go for it.
You want to kick us off doing a little bit of read?
You want me to start off reading the...
Yeah, let's try a little...
Kobayashi letter? Is that how you pronounce it?
That's what I say. It rolls off the tongue better, right?
Yeah. The Kobayashi letter. As mortgage rates hit 8% for the first time in 23 years, affordability continues to fall off a cliff. The Housing Affordability Index just hit a fresh record low at approximately 90, right? So this is an index that tracks the affordability, basically the disparity between wages and how much homes actually cost, right? Like the median household price of a home, right? Yep. This means that housing affordability is officially down 50% since 2021. Since then, peak in 2012, housing affordability is down nearly 70%. God.
Last sentence, that one stings.
Buying a home has become a luxury.
A luxury that most people cannot afford. It's the window shopping for Louis Vuitton in the mall when you can't afford it.
Right.
That's what homes have become.
It's starting to feel that way.
No, it is that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to feel. You don't need to feel it. Just because I understand that you're disconnected to the people because you
No,
live in a
man.
palazzo.
I genuinely feel bad, man, because I got into a house in 2020 by pure happenstance. The only reason why we were looking for a home was because I had a child that I wanted to get into the right school district.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had people in my ear telling me, listen, man, you don't have to rush this process. You don't have to jump at the first house that you see. And all I was concerned about at that time was I need to get my son into the right school district.
Yeah.
Right. And so I got lucky. It's not that I knew the market. Right. So.
Well, they do say the luck is the combination of preparation and opportunity. And, I look at that constant theme throughout my life, and I recognize that I've been very, very lucky in a lot of ways, particularly financially.
Yeah.
But then I think to myself, but you were prepared for that opportunity at the time and able to take advantage of it.
That is true. And we did actually, it was an unorthodox approach. If you were to tell people the approach, because remember, we bought at the time right before the boom, the madness. Mm-hmm. I listed my house for sale and made an offer on a home contingent on the sale of my other home.
Yeah.
Nobody in their right mind would ever take an offer like that during that boom time during 2020.
But somehow you had the most amazing realtor in the world that crushed that situation for you.
It was trying to talk me out of the situation.
I did try to talk you out of the situation. I'm like, y'all want to do this, you're stupid, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
He did the same thing with us.
You're stupid, but I'll do it.
Oh, man.
If you notice, I give the same advice. That's how I get people to go against me. I'll teach this motherfucker. And I go, okay, watch, I don't warn you.
Yeah.
It's psychological warfare.
Right.
You'll never get this. La, 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 la. And then you got this.
And then I got it, yeah.
Well, the next article talks about the cost of buying a home versus renting one is now at its most expensive. This from the Wall Street Journal. There has never been a worse time to buy instead of rent. It is now 52% more expensive to buy a home than to rent one because of the climbing mortgage rates. And bear with me, there's a lot from this article I want to talk about. The data here is really interesting, and it's good food for thought. So the cost of buying a home versus renting one is at its most extreme since at least 1996. The average monthly new mortgage payment is 52% higher than the average apartment rent, according to CBRE analysis. The last time the measure looked out of whack was before the 2008 housing crash. Even then, the premium peaked at 33%, as a reminder, compared to 52% in the second quarter of 2006. So that's already a wild swing. But yet people are telling you, oh, the market's not going to crash. Well, can the market really go higher than that?
Right.
I mean, is it really sustainable? If people can't buy and you have this flat market, I understand people are saying supply and demand. I mean, all these things. There's a great chart. Haroon just pulled it up. If we do our job well, I can just go like this. And you'll see it.
Yeah. Not on me, but for you.
But it's a pretty compelling chart where it goes to show you where, Q3 of 2006, where you started to spike up. And then obviously you walked into the Great Recession, 2007, 2008. And this was on the downward swing. And now you are literally visibly, palpably higher than the peak leading up to the Great Recession.
The difference this time around, though, is that we got a bunch of people sitting on very low interest rates. Mm-hmm. Right? Over 90% of people have mortgage rates under 6%.
And this gives the people confidence, a lot of people confidence. To me, it scares me because that means things have to get that much worse this time in order for people to break their positions.
Yes.
And I'll go on from the article from the Wall Street Journal to kind of cap off this whole thing. In theory, buying and renting costs should be roughly matched, according to Matt Vance, head of multifamily research at CBRE. Although owners benefit when house prices go up, they also put more cash into their homes than tenants for things such as repairs and refurbishments. So I never really thought about it that way, but it sounds about accurate. It's very practical, right? Mm-hmm. From 1996 to mid-2003, the average cost to buy or rent did indeed work out more or less equal. And that, again, that makes me feel good about the idea of being a renter. It comes down to saving that nut. Right. To buy your down payment. And it's a lot easier than most people think when home affordability is normalized because you have programs like first-time home buyer programs, FHA, 3.5% down. You can get your real estate license, get 2.5% commission, only put 1% down. There are ways to do that if you're so inclined. Continuing on. After the global financial crisis, though, rock bottom interest rates and plenty of housing supply meant it was 12% cheaper on average to buy a home than to rent one during the 2010s. The current hefty ownership premium reflects the surging cost of debt as rates on a 30-year mortgage reach 8%, as well as high house prices since pandemic lockdowns raised the value of domestics in the domestic space. Now, I'll say it raised the value to a level that just the cadence of 40% in some areas in a matter of 2 years is fucking wild.
Right.
Wild. And people who are now trying to buy for the first time are experiencing the disconnect. It's crazy. A person taking out a 30-year mortgage today on a $430,000 home with a 10% down payment would fork out around $3,200 in monthly repayments, 60% more than if they had bought the same house 3 years ago. Rents have risen by less blistering 22% over the same period, though this was still moderately ahead of wider U.S. inflation.
Right. So the one bright side out of all of this, if there is one, right, is typically speaking when housing affordability is this far out of whack, or is out of whack, we should say, because it's never really been this far out of whack.
Yo, you're whack.
Yeah. Right. Landlords would typically be able to increase their rents. Mm-hmm. But with the amount of, like we've talked about on the show before, the amount of multifamily properties that are going to be coming online, right? Fannie Mae here predicts multifamily vacancies reaching 6.25% in 2024.
And I would say that will likely be in the areas where you've seen this massive amount of construction, and particularly in high-end luxury properties in the Sun Belt region of the United States.
Yes.
So think the lower states, Texas, Arizona, all the way through like certain parts of Florida and the southern part of California.
Right. So with that happening, then rents will typically come down, right? Because apartment buildings and those investors and those landlords cannot afford to have vacancies run on for too long, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if now we have $1.5 trillion of commercial real estate debt coming, due, or they're needing to refinance over the next 2 years, yep. Right? 2 or 3 years. They're going to need to prove that this thing is still generating income. Because at the end of the day, no matter what they do, they're likely going to have to come in with more cash out of pocket to even pay down the loan. If it's not performing well, forget about it. You're going to have to really come in with more cash.
Yeah, and it's already happening. Mm-hmm. Maturities we're seeing now, and they will maturities in commercial real estate debt. Mm-hmm. So most people understand now, if they've listened to the show and they're avid fans, commercial real estate loans are typically financed between 3, 5, and 7. In some cases, rarer cases, 10 years, but they come due. So everything over the course of the last, 14 years is now starting to come due over kind of a scaling position. So the first year will be, a couple $100 million, $1 billion, whatever it might be. The next year will be even more than that. The next year will be even more than that, until this problem finds its way, works its way to the system, which is going to take some time. I don't know that, well, I'm going to make a call we haven't made officially on the show. I think it's now time.
Safe to say, okay.
Every real estate recession has been led by a catalyst, and every recession has had some type of catalyst. Going back to the stock market crash in October 29th, 1929, led into the Great Depression, right?
Yes.
And everybody's coming back from the war, and the wartime spending stopped. When the war was over, you entered into this recessionary economy. It had its impact on the markets, and that was like the peak pinnacle moment that we all now say, that kicked off the Great Depression.
Right.
The Great Recession, you had the fall of Lehman Brothers, the subprime mortgage crisis, trading on these hybridized mortgage-backed securities market. Don't need to worry about what that is. But there was these synthetics. They're pooling all these assets together, saying, they're all about the same risk, and they went bad. The Big Short explains it way better than we ever could in the show.
Right.
Well, I'm going to say that as of right now, no matter what the government does to prop up GDP, whatever geopolitical events out there, rates spiking one way or the other, all that's going to happen. We still didn't know what the catalyst is. I'm telling you, I think the catalyst is going to be commercial real estate. I think commercial real estate is going to have reverberating impacts to the economy that cannot be mitigated by politics and manipulation.
Right. Especially when you consider the amount. I put in an article here, Odun. You might as well plug this right here, right now, from the Wall Street Journal. Let's see here. Yeah, America's downtowns are empty. fixing them will be expensive. This from the Wall Street Journal. It's in there. It says, for decades, downtown office districts across the U.S. powered local economies, generating commerce, tax revenue, and an aggregation of ambition, talent, and disposable income. Right?
Nothing.
I'm going to power. I'm powering straight through. But they went as far as to cite from like cell towers the amount of activity.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh, fascinating.
And the foot traffic in downtowns are down by like 26%.
I believe it. Have you been to downtowns lately?
No.
Remember when I went to New York and I came back and I told you it's a different city now?
Yeah.
I think it goes all the way back to then.
It's fucking depressing, man. I would only imagine. And one of the mayors, I believe the article really dove into.
This is a sad picture. Jesus.
Yeah, they dove into Minneapolis and they said, look, they're going to have to find a way to make it sexy again. And how they do that, because for the longest time, downtowns across the country were, look at this. Downtown Minneapolis is full of partly empty office buildings. Those dots there, more than 25% vacant.
Wow. So it's a heat map essentially with dots, and the darker dots mean
the really dark dots are conversion candidates of what they can potentially turn into
multifamily.
Multifamily, right? And that's ultimately what they're going to need to do. They need to find a way to make living in downtown sexy again.
Wow, ghost towers. Downtown Minneapolis is full of partly empty office buildings.
Yeah,
ghost
man.
towers.
I know. So what they want to do, and something that they're trying to adopt in Minneapolis, right, which they've actually been able to curb their own inflation, if you remember an article that we talked about not too long ago. But they're providing tax breaks for people that are converting their offices into housing.
I don't know that that's going to
get
anybody there. Yeah, smarter investors are going to wait. They're going to wait this whole thing out. I mean, it's the same thing with the M&A market, secondary markets. They're just going to have to wait this out. And this is, I mean, even if they wanted to start construction now, it's 18 to 24 months, right? It's 2 years before you really start to see some of this stuff.
Don't even get me started on the zoning.
Yeah, and then, well, I mean, even if you get the permits, you get the zoning, it's all expedited, and the cities push you through.
Mm-hmm.
Converting a building is significantly harder than building one, believe it or not.
Yes.
So because of that, it's just going to take a long ass time.
And to your point, that commercial real estate potentially being the canary in the coal mine this time around, right? You got to think like when the Fed eventually does choose to pivot and start to cut rates. We've talked about it. It's not going to be slashing. It's going to be slow and it's going to be incremental. Okay. And generally speaking, when they do start cutting, it's already too late. Something broke.
Bro, I anecdotally, I'm not going to say names, but I had a conversation with somebody from the Fed today. And we were on a Zoom call, right? And there was a bunch of other people in the room.
I know someone who it's not.
Yeah.
If it was Neil Kashkari, you would have called me right after.
Listen, alopecia, let me tell you what's going to be. First of all, I need you to draw some eyebrows so I know how you feel. He doesn't have alopecia. It's just sarcasm. Nobody get upset, okay? Yeah. And if you do, email me at Saied at higherstandardpodcast.com.
You piece of shit.
Well, in any event, now, there's a room full of other people in the room and a couple other Fed examiners, and I happen to anecdotally say, we got into a casual conversation. I said, let's say hypothetically the Fed cuts rates in Q2 or Q3. And this particular Fed examiner looked at me and goes, and what if they don't?
Wow, because right now it's projected for everyone that's listening. Remember, not too long ago, and this is the thing that's the most frustrating for me.
Yeah,
is this bullshit optimism that was pushed onto everybody. Okay, that there was gonna be 2 rate cuts by the end of this year, and we were like, no, it's not.
Bro, I can't tell you how many people on social media that I engage with who are seen as thought leaders in real estate. They're like, oh, they're gonna. Ryan Pineda. I was on his podcast. It was over a year ago,
right?
And he was saying at the end of that year they were going to cut rates, and I'm like, no,
why?
They're not.
Under what? Why? What made you think that?
I'll tell you exactly why. It was Lawrence Yun, the National Association of Realtors, and we're going to play a clip. And it's this kind of toxic shit from people who are supposed to be thought leaders and subject matter experts that people generally don't fully understand. Arun, whenever you're ready, baby, you can go ahead and play that clip.
And just for everyone that wants to know,
3 times
it's been revised. So just so they know, because you mentioned Q2, Q3, it was originally 2 times by the end of this year they were projected to cut rates, and then it was March of next year, and then it was June of next year. Now currently the betting odds are July of next year.
Yeah.
For rates to get cut.
Yeah.
So now play that funky music, white boy.
Lawrence Yun, National Association of Realtors. This from Yahoo Finance. And I'm not even going to talk a whole bunch of shit before we play it because it's going to speak for itself.
Federal Reserve is clearly overdoing the rate hike. I mean, they are breaking clearly on the commercial real estate side, but on the residential side, the affordability, the monthly payment to buy a medium price home by middle income person has essentially doubled from pre-COVID to today. I mean, this is taking away the American dream, the dream of ownership opportunity. So we need to assure that mortgage rate trends downward, and that can only happen if the Fed essentially say, we will stop raising rates, and once the inflation is clearly under 3%, we will start cutting interest rate. So I think that trending, will begin to occur in early spring of next year, but I hope the Fed begins to make those announcements.
Okay. So if you ever wanted to know what a crackhead looks like in a suit, Lawrence Yun, everybody, the National Association of Realtors. Talk about, there's so much bullshit packed into such a short statement. First and foremost, okay.
I mean, it wasn't too long ago where you were singing a completely different song.
Well, me?
No, Lawrence Yun.
Oh, yeah, that fucking canary is, well, he will follow anybody who feeds it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. First of all, the National Association of Realtors always, their solution to the affordability crisis is always for rates to go down. Mm-hmm. Hey, fucker, there's another option here, okay? Home prices can go down, but they don't want that to happen because brokers, the real estate brokers, the realtors, the mortgage loan officers, everybody in the space gets paid a commission off the highest possible value or the highest loan to value, which is driven by the value of the property. So they all think the solution to the affordability crisis is always for rates to go down. And then you layer in some clickbait bullshit like, oh, the Fed is killing the American dream. No, motherfucker, you guys killed the American dream by helping pump up home values to your extent. I mean, granted, there were many other factors involved in it, the government, in and of themselves and a lot of the people, but you contributed, dude. You were on the front lines.
Right.
At the same time, this man knows his trade group is being sued for antitrust violations, which, for those of you who don't know, is a monopoly in controlling prices. Price-fixing commissions in the market. Redfin just had beef with them. Several major brokerages already paid to get their way out of this whole lawsuit. Mm-hmm. And this fucking guy has the balls to go on to Yahoo Finance and sit there and say, the Fed is killing the American dream, and the only way this gets better is if rates go down. No, fuck you. It's if home values go down and rates go down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not too long ago, they were telling all the people that were, buying into their associations that, they were feeding them gumdrops and lollipops, telling them, now's still a good time to buy. Values are still going to go up. And now, not only him, but his buddies over at the National Association of Home Builders, the Mortgage Bankers Association, they're now sending letters to the Fed asking them, like, please stop, please stop.
I guarantee you that Jerome Powell got the letter and wiped his ass with it after a nice, nasty, chili lunch.
So let me ask you a question. Do you want to put some tinfoil hats on for a second?
Mine's been on. You took yours off?
So what if there's something more at play here, right? Housing affordability is at an all-time high or all-time low, whichever way you want to look at it, right? People can't afford to buy homes, right?
Yeah.
And what really drives the economy, or one of the main components that drives the economy, is this American dream. Getting people locked in to a
life,
home.
Liberty, pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness, as originally drafted by the founders of this country at that time, actually meant ownership of property.
Right. And what if they know, okay, if home affordability is out of reach for this many Americans, okay? I had a stat in here that certain generations have, like, over, I think it was millennials, have 43% of consumers out there have student loan debt.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to get into an article a little bit later that talks about how much of people's incomes are going to go into their mortgage payments. And you're like, okay, factor in student loan debt, factor in their minimum credit card payments. People cannot afford to buy homes.
Nope.
So if they can't afford to buy homes, they're not locked into some form of debt that's going to take up a majority of their income for 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So could that potentially ruin the American dream, and could that potentially hurt the economy for the long term, right?
I would tinfoil hat still on?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I would argue it already has. I would argue you've eviscerated a good chunk of the middle class already.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people who get at me in comment sections on social media. They send me emails to Saied at higherstandardpodcast.com, and they always complain that we don't understand that the middle class doesn't exist. It's working class and uber rich.
So here's the tinfoil hat portion of it, though. Okay, what if inflation does come down, right? And he's like, man, what we really need to tackle, what they're really trying to tackle here is maybe home affordability. And it's like nothing they're doing is bringing home prices down far enough.
I didn't bring the article for the show notes tonight, but there was a statement by Jerome Powell. It was very sly, and it was in some random ass third-party interview where he basically said, we're trying to get home values down, and it's not working.
Yeah.
I mean, he pretty much said that. I think it was like a rare moment where he fucked up, and everyone's like, oh, shit. We got to get that off the interwebs. Like,
because that's not what he's supposed to be saying, and that's not part of their dual mandate.
You could tell he was frustrated that has not responded yet.
Yeah, well, that and unemployment, I'm sure, is what he's really upset because they're trying to tackle wage inflation. And if that comes down, then people can't afford to buy homes, and homes will ultimately have to come down. It's a trickle-down effect.
Yeah, well, it hasn't trickled.
There's no trickle.
And ain't nobody going down. So nobody happy.
No one's going down. No one's going happy, man.
I'm just saying. It's not going down for real. All right, from CNN Business, before we say any more cliche shit, why the housing market is going from tough to terrible. The monthly payment on an average price home now requires 40% of the median household income. This was a point of conversation between Saied and I before the show because he wants to unpack what that really means, so we will. Making housing the least affordable it's been since 1984, baby, according to ICE. When were you born, 84?
Oh, man.
When were you born?
86, baby.
Fuck me, really?
Yeah. You barely call yourself an 80s baby.
No, man. June 1980. You were born 6 years after me?
6 years.
When I was 18.
But no one tells me.
You were 12?
No one tells me that I look like a 20-year-old.
When I was drinking, when I was 21, you were 15?
Yeah, man.
God damn. That hurts.
Yeah.
The last time home affordability was this tight, interest rates were at 13.6%. This was the sentence and the paragraph, the reason why I included this article. Okay, I'm going to say it again because I think it's really impactful. So pay attention. If you're driving, prop yourself up. Focus. Don't get into an accident. Turn the Tesla on autopilot. Let's go. Last time home affordability was this tight, interest rates were at 13.6%, roughly 6 points higher than today. And the average home price was about 3.5 times the median household income, says Andy Walden, Vice President of Enterprise Research at ICE Mortgage Technology. Today, after years of low interest rates helping drive purchase prices up, the average home costs 6 times more than the median income. To bring affordability back to long-term averages, he said, it would take some combination of up to 37% declines in home prices, mortgage rates dropping by 4 percentage points, or a 60% growth in median household incomes.
Run that back one more time so people can make Run that back one more time so people can hear what you just said again.
To bring affordability back to long-term averages, just the average of what it's been historically, normal affordability, if you will. He said it would take some combination of up to a 37% decline in home prices, mortgage rates dropping by 4 percentage points, or a 60% growth in median household incomes.
Newsflash.
Fuck.
Newsflash. None of that is happening.
Is someone going to pay me 60% more?
No, please, me. I can use it.
Popcorn, Haroon.
So another point in this article that they made that I think doesn't get talked about enough is that when a Fed is overly aggressive in raising interest rates, it can cause real damage to the economy long term, right? The Fed themselves, Bernanke, right? Or Bernanke, or however you...
Ben Bernanke, bro.
He himself.
Watch yourself.
Yeah, the laureate.
That man's the man.
Yeah, Nobel Prize winner.
I mean, first of all, anybody who's bald and has like the Bobo the haircut clown sides and still gets the respect that he does.
Oh, and he's shitting on Jerome Powell every chance he gets.
I mean, I guarantee you he pulls more ass than Rabini.
Has to. He's a Nobel Prize winner, bro.
Yeah. Hey, Rabini, how's the economy treating you? Recession.
Bernanke himself said that the Fed made the Great Depression worse than it had to be.
That's true.
Because they held interest rates higher for longer and probably a little bit too long.
I don't think, look, and I know people are going to criticize the Fed, and this is going to be a real politically charged statement. Looking at how the economy's responded, and I don't like the Fed's methodology. I think they should have been more consistent over time, 50 basis points, 50 basis points, 50 basis points, more methodical and explained their tact a lot more. I will say this, in their defense, a lot of the numbers they're trying to get to move have not fucking moved.
Right. So, and here's the problem, and this is the part of the article that I thought doesn't get spoken about enough, is that when there's good news in the economy, like 336,000 jobs added last month, or GDP for Q3 of 2023 is coming in at 5%. Okay, man, that just means the Fed's going to hold it higher for longer. When there's good news like that in the economy, the Fed doesn't like it.
Which is why you're seeing those predictions move out.
Right.
But can we put the tinfoil hats back on for a second?
Put it on, yeah. Never took mine off.
Should have known. Look, those of you who are listening to the show are among a select rare breed. The higher standard of humans, if you will. Right?
Gangsters.
Thugs. And not everybody is as financially astute as you likely are after listening to the show.
You're welcome.
Hashtag blessed. So the majority of Americans can be easily manipulated. And I would argue now, more than ever, here's the tinfoil hat part, that we have seen the widespread amount of information and disinformation from sources that we don't realize are doing that. Back in the day, it was easy to say, oh, this media outlet's got a bias or a slant towards the left or the right, or there's a political agenda. But people don't understand how social media has been weaponized. There are, I guarantee you, hundreds of thousands of accounts at any given moment in time, maybe even millions, that are ran by organizations both domestically and internationally whose entire intention is to spin a rhetoric with viral content and to get you to believe certain things. And you see it, and I get people who forward me shit every fucking day in social media. Even my dad and my sister does. Everybody, they'll forward you content that's completely fucking baseless, but it's become widely adopted as normalized things, and they don't realize they're being manipulated.
Yeah, man.
And this positive rhetoric is really fucking with people. And it's getting people to spend and believe. And I know people in the real estate market, and I'll be candid. I know people in like businesses like wholesaling. I have been warning over and over and over again. I am concerned about your business. I am concerned what happens when the investors go away. I've already seen the data which says the investors have gone away. And they're like, nah, bro, it's going to be amazing, man. You don't understand. Like, this dude on social media I follow, he says it's going to be amazing. It's like, dope. Yeah, no cap. And you're just like, what?
You do. It's so good, man.
Thank you. I practice that in the mirror all the time.
Well done.
Thank you. Like a Southern California vibe to it.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good? All right.
Yeah.
Haroon, you've been very silent back there.
I actually had a question. So clearly this is not realistic, right? The 37% decline, the 4 percentage points going up or going down, or all of us getting a pay raise. What needs to happen? Like, how can we fix the housing market?
Well, if you believe Said's conspiracy theory, they don't want us to fix the market. They want to widen the gap between the wealthy and the not wealthy, and then there'll be a two-class society, right?
Oh, no, the conspiracy theory was the other way, where they can't afford to lose out the middle class, so maybe they're going to hold interest rates for as long as they need to make that housing affordability, correct itself, no matter what.
I did not get that at all.
That was the tinfoil hat, where it's like, okay, what if inflation? Well, we know inflation is not going to hit 2% without rent and rent equivalent coming down.
You can't be throwing out conspiracy theories that are so complex that nobody understands it.
What do you mean? I thought that was pretty.
I did not get that. Arun, did you get that from what he said earlier?
Nope. I thought it was. I was with Chris.
Yeah. They want no. Because what I was saying is this, right? Look, they want people to buy into the American dream and get themselves locked into 30-year debt.
God damn. God bless you. I wish I had that rosy optimism and like fucking fuzzy warm feels about people. I'm looking at this, people going like, I'm going to get richer. Fuck you guys. You're going to get poorer.
No.
Why is there like we need the middle class?
No,
bullshit?
because if they truly want the economy to continue to get stimulated, they need people to buy into the American dream.
First of all, I'm always for stimulation. Okay?
Always.
I support stimulation everywhere I can.
All the time.
We should all be stimulated.
Every day.
As much as possible.
Right.
Frequently.
Honestly, it's needed.
You need it to feel things. Right? So I agree. And I support that 100%. But I don't think that people are that smart. I think greed is what takes over, and people make greedy decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the thing that bothers me too is, look, the people that are still buying into the optimism, okay? They're seeing, the high job numbers or low unemployment rate, but corporate profits over the last 9 months, the last 3 quarters have been negative, right? And there's something out there called forward guidance, right? Mm-hmm. Which basically is, analysts are out there projecting, and business and corporations are out there projecting what next quarter is going to look like. So it gives people something to, I don't know, hedge their bets on or see where the company's going down the road, right? They're already projecting negative earnings for next year, or next quarter, I should say. So
which, along those lines, we called an earnings recession almost a year ago.
So how the hell could we have a booming economy?
Yeah, boom, boom, baby.
Right? The Fed's tackling wage inflation, credit card debt, delinquencies, defaults are all on the rise, but everyone's acting like, no, the economy's fine. The consumer's resilient.
Well, to answer your question more specifically, Haroon, and I think those of you who are listening who had the same question, and I think it's a very valid one, is we don't know. Hypothetically speaking, none of those 3 things are going to happen individually. But again, it was a combination of those 3 things, right? The rates going down, home values coming down, and wages going up. But the unfortunate reality is we know that something has to happen because it's not sustainable without something changing. Mm-hmm. And I know it's ambiguous and it's overbroad. And people are like, well, Chris, you guys are supposed to know. Nobody knows. Everybody's got a theory. My theory that we just recently predicted on this same show was that the commercial real estate market is going to break down. And as that breaks down, I think there's going to be tolls that'll be paid along other sectors. You have to understand the economy is much more interwoven and linked than we realize. The debt markets and businesses and banking and businesses and all these things wrap into one another, the consumer spending, and it's all integrated. That's why you can have a subprime mortgage meltdown and then people losing their homes and all these reverberating effects of the economy. Something has to be the catalyst for reverberating effects of the economy that has a significant impact on affordability on homes. And if we don't, Said's theory is wiped out entirely because there won't be a middle class left. And I'm very much concerned about what that means for the next generation of wealth or lack thereof as a result of these things.
Yeah.
It is going to be a lifetime problem. And frankly, I'm more worried now than ever before in my lifetime, an adult lifetime, of the real complexities of war.
Right.
And I'm a guy who vividly remembers the Iran-Iraq controversy. I remember so many wars that we've lived through. And granted, I'm not the worst wars are before my time. What I can tell you is now you've got so many political players moving outside the United States from a fiscal perspective, China and Russia making deals, for example, that really could move the United States out of the financial position of being this preferred place to park your money, i.e. treasuries.
Right.
So the next article from CNBC, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate just hit 8% for the first time since 2000 as treasury yields soar. This is another thing that we called. We looked it up on the show several shows ago, and we saw that the mortgage rates were being quoted at the time at 8%, but we said that was an average, didn't include agency debt. Well, agency debt is now there. Mm-hmm. The average rate on the popular 30-year fixed mortgage rate hit 8% on Wednesday morning of last week. According to Mortgage News Daily, that is the highest level since mid-2000.
Wow.
Yikes. Today is Monday, the 23rd of October. For reference, the milestone came as bond yields soar to levels not seen since 2007. Again, another reference to 2006, 2007 period. We've said this many, many, many times in the last couple of episodes, and it's starting to freak me out. Mortgage rates follow loosely the yield on the 10-year U.S. Treasury, which you now know because you listened to our big bond episode. Big bond, baby.
Big bonds.
Rates rose sharply this week and last week as investors digest more reads on the economy. On Wednesday, it was housing starts, which rose in September, though not as much as expected, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. So this article was solely to say, number one, we were right. Okay? Because that just has to be said.
Good job, man.
Yeah, good job. Yeah. You look good when you're right, man.
You too, man.
Fuck, you're so right. Have you been wrong?
No. Maybe once or twice.
But not here.
Not here. Not on this show.
Someplace outside of here, you've
Right.
been wrong.
Exactly.
That feel weird?
No.
Foreign, maybe?
A little bit.
A little alien? I don't know what that's like.
Not on this show.
My wife would be like, this motherfucker's wrong every day.
Yeah. Not yet, anyways.
But number two, to show you that all the data seems to be moving the wrong way.
Yeah, man.
It's not going the way we thought it was going to go.
And I was actually reading an article too.
You read?
Earlier today that, people think that rates have a lot more room to go as far as like for them to increase.
I am one of those people, yeah.
And what a lot of, first-time home buyers are getting now are help from their parents. Because like we got to get this kid a house now because he may never get a house. So a lot of kids are getting help from their parents.
And for those of y'all Googling my name and parents, fuck you, A. And B, ain't nobody helping me buy shit, okay? That's the number one search thing with my name when you go to SEO for Google. It still pisses me off.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it before, but I haven't let it go.
Yeah, clearly.
I'm going to let it go in a couple episodes. When I find who's searching for my parents.
So, I mean, so you're seeing a lot of that too. And who's really going to get hit in this is people like institutional investors.
Yeah, well, I think everybody in the finance sector is going to get hit pretty hard in ding ding.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like one of those quick thwips, and it's just going to sting, and then it's going to reverberate through your body.
Right. But earlier you had mentioned that in order to qualify for some of these homes now, it's taken up approximately 40% of, someone's income in order to pay the average person's income in order to pay this mortgage payment.
Yep.
Right. And there are guidelines out there right now that are working against that, saying that's too much, and especially with banks around, signaling we're going to tighten our lending practices, our underwriting guidelines. So you technically wouldn't even qualify or shouldn't even qualify.
No, and that's where it gets really emotional for some people is they're trying to qualify as much as they can. So just for like a broad perspective, Freddie and Fannie
Our government agencies.
Government-sponsored enterprises, the GSEs, right? Mm-hmm. They were sponsored by the government, not technically 100% government-owned. They've gone back and forth over the years. For the purpose of this conversation, just think about them as government-adjacent, right? Mm-hmm. These agencies are really in place to try to make home affordability a thing. Like,
yes,
people able to buy a home.
Right. And for the lenders out there that are, making home loans, they'll buy those home loans off those banks so that they can go out and do more home loans.
It creates liquidity in the markets, particularly for housing. Housing was always looked at a good place to lend.
But in order to do so, they have a certain criteria that needs to be met.
Also known as underwriting guidance, right? Mm-hmm. So Haroon looked up an interesting rule. The 28% mortgage rule states that you should spend 28% or less of your monthly growth income on your mortgage payment, e.g. principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Yeah, so right there, you're paying 40%, and the rule is not to pay over 28%. But Fannie Mae's guidelines, right, is somewhere between 36 to 45%, and yes. 45% though is like you're cutting it close, man.
So there's a front end ratio and a back end ratio. The front end ratio is not including your full end mortgage debt.
Yeah.
The back end ratio includes your mortgage debt, right? So typically 55% your cap. So if you're at 40% on the front end, your back end with your mortgage payment, it's going to be 55 or more. So you're generally not going to qualify if you're that high up.
You're not, especially now with you think about credit card debt being all-time high. What are people's minimum payments, right? You got student loan repayments coming back. So I have the stats here now. 28% of Gen Z consumers have student loan debt, okay? For millennials, 43%. For Gen X, 21% of consumers. That's a student loan payment now that just came back online anywhere between $300 to $500. So you factor that in, people can't afford to buy homes even if they wanted to.
No.
Yeah.
It's a wild problem, and I think
even if they have the down payment, that's the part that people don't realize. Like, wait a minute, I have $100,000 to put down on a home, but I don't qualify. What? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it's going to become a problem that I think will continue to bolster. That's why you need to see a combination of home values coming down, wages going up, and rates going down in order for people to really meet that criteria to be able to even buy a home, even if those things happen.
Right.
It can't just be one.
Yes.
They all kind of have to come together and do certain things.
And we already know that rates won't be coming down, right? Because what the treasuries are signaling that we've talked about on the previous episodes, and you can find the clip on YouTube. And if you're over there, you can go ahead and smash that like button, ring that notification bell, subscribe to the channel.
Little fun thing. If you actually like 4 or 5 posts in a row, there's actually a special icon which will come up. So go to our page, link 4 or 5 posts in a row, and you won't be disappointed. Or I'm a lying bastard and you just liked 4 posts.
And we appreciate you very much, right?
I guess you'll never know.
Yeah, exactly.
They call it an Easter egg, kids.
Yeah.
To Said's point, rates are in fact going up. This, according to the Street, Morgan Stanley makes a bold, tough prediction for home prices next year. If rates, which briefly reached 8% this past week, move back up and stay there for a protracted amount of time, existing home prices could fall as much as 5%, which in my mind is wildly short of what they need to do. Investment bank Morgan Stanley says that would be a shock to sellers. Really? 5%?
That's it.
Okay. Many of whom already are seeing sales drop in local markets. Buyers would be hurt too. Supply for homes is already tight, and obtaining financing would be harder.
Yeah. I mean, typically in an environment like this, most people would wait to make sure that they're selling at the high end, right? But now, even if they've reached the high end, they don't want to sell their home because they don't want to go out and shell out a couple more $1,000s a month on a new mortgage for another house that is not as big or not as nice.
So let's go back here. Let's back up a little bit. A lot of banks will call stuff like this. A lot of economists will. And other than Lawrence Yun, who I hate because I've got a bias.
Yeah.
I belong to the trade group. But I just see how manipulated people in the trade group are by this false information. And then realtors start spitting this shit back, and it's just frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Morgan Stanley's wrong here. I think rates will go higher than 8%. I certainly think that the market's going to stall, and I think it's going to be bad for everyone. So I agree with the sellers and buyers thing, but I think bad's the only way to get to good. You got to go through bad to get to good here, and bad shit's got to happen. And frankly, if we get this rosy good things happen and everybody's happy, I'm more concerned.
Well, what about a scenario where if the U.S. debt gets downgraded? Because
it's a real threat.
Because the deficit gets way out of hand, right?
It's fucking already way out of hand.
It's already way out of hand. So basic economics, right? The government makes their revenue off taxes, right? Whether it's our personal income taxes, corporation taxes, property taxes, that's how they make their revenue, right?
Yep.
And then last year they made $4 trillion. Guess how much they spent? $6 trillion. They got a spending problem. Okay. Now, but here's the problem with that. They made $4 trillion off a lot of capital gains tax.
And a lot of people spending a lot of money because earnings were high.
So what's going to happen when the capital gains tax goes away?
And earnings come down, i.e. an earnings recession.
And corporations aren't making as much money, so they're not paying as much in taxes.
You think they're going to go, you know what, guys? Hey, we spent $6 billion last year. We should not deploy those aircraft carriers to the Middle East.
Yeah, there's going to be that. But here's the part that's going to really suck when, okay, that's one approach. But what if they say, all right, teachers are going to have to cut some of their pay. Healthcare, they're going to have to get some cut. Some of that infrastructure stuff that we promised some areas of the country that we're going to do, we got to pull that back now.
We said we are going to pay for your student loans.
Yeah, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, now they're going to have to, what are they going to have to do to make, because they're not going to reduce their spending that much.
No.
So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to take out more debt. Yeah. And this just now compounds and becomes a bigger and bigger problem.
Is anybody worried the U.S. is run like Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme? Yeah. That's what's going on here.
How is this not a problem?
At some point, you can't keep paying people back.
And then keep in mind, now we talked about it. You said here earlier, right? Treasuries are on the rise, hitting all-time highs again now, or since haven't seen these treasuries hit since 2007. These rates, right? So you got to think so you're going to be pulling out more debt at higher interest rates too. Mm-hmm. So now your interest payments, listen to this. I've cited this on the show before. Our interest payments on our U.S. government debt will be more than how much we spend on military defense.
Yep.
We pay approximately $1.7 trillion in military defense.
And we have the highest military defense costs in the world.
By far.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah, rightfully so. I like feeling safe. It makes me feel good.
Do you really feel safe?
Yeah, I feel really safe.
Let me just hypothetically throw something out there.
I got something that I want to. I don't want to get political on the show though. I don't want to.
What you got?
No, man. I saw some footage of the Israeli dome, the Iron Dome. I think they call it.
I don't even know.
You don't know what that is?
No.
Oh man, there's some of the footage of what was going on and basically missiles that were being shot, over into Israel, and they call it an Iron Dome because they have missiles that track the missiles and will go and stop it before it ever comes down.
Oh, the missile defense system.
Yeah, so I'm like, man, if they got that, we for sure got that.
Okay. Yeah. I got a whole thing there. It gets into aliens and shit.
And I'm like, I'm not even trying to get political, but when I saw that, I didn't even know something. To be honest, I'm so ignorant. I didn't even know something like that existed. Look at this. This is crazy.
Yeah, all it is it's a missile defense system. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like soundproof, right? And you're like, goddamn.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. has this and more. I'm actually convinced that one of these exists vis-a-vis a satellite in orbit in space.
Yeah.
Like you got to think like Russia and the United States.
Now, I'm not taking.
I've probably put like some kind of missile defense system.
I'm not. That's not me taking a side on any one or which way. I'm just saying that's something that I noticed, and I was like,
please don't, bro.
I was like, yeah.
I've seen shit get so censored on social media. Like I'm not even. It's touching it with Haroon's dick. All right, let's go to the next article. So,
damn,
was it too much?
It's still at left field.
I just, something I don't care to touch stuff with. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like I would walk.
You want to emphasize that I want to touch it.
Do that, or I would, not wear those shoes in that bathroom. I mean, what do you mean?
There you go.
All right, going back to the Kobisi letter, or the K letter as we called it, the fast decline in U.S. housing markets, 1 year drop. Number one, Austin, Texas, negative 11.6%. Should come as no surprise. We talked about the housing market there, the rental market in particular. Last episode, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. Number two caught me a little bit off guard. Boise, Idaho, negative 8.6%.
They had a big boom, man, during the pandemic.
Everybody's like, I can move to Idaho. It's going to be amazing. Coeur d'Alene, dope. Yeah, let's go.
I remember, I can only imagine the people in Idaho, like seeing people from California come over, like, no, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, they're going, fuck.
God, not you guys. The worst.
Yeah. Did you ask for Avion?
Yeah, no, we don't have Fiji water.
Yeah. Where's the Erewhon? Number three, New Orleans, Louisiana, negative 8%. Tied with Lake Charles, Louisiana, at negative 8% for number four. Phoenix, Arizona, negative 7%. Las Vegas, negative 7%. Provo, Utah, negative 6.7%. Chris Crowan lives out there. He can kiss my ass. Reno, Nevada, negative 5.7%. Chico, California, negative 5.7%. I don't get that one. And San Jose, California, home to the number one fitness podcast in the world. Don't only pump your body, but pump your mind.
They make you sexy. You know what else makes you really sexy?
Negative 5.5%.
There's a little company out there called Transcend. Makes you really sexy.
I mean, I feel sexy.
You make you feel sexy.
You were hitting on me before the show.
Yeah.
And then Haroon said I got like a V taper to my back, which is complete bullshit, but I appreciate the lie.
Wow.
I will take the lie because it made me feel good about being fat.
You look good today.
See, that's why he got made out with before the show and you didn't. So true story, everybody out there in listener land. Haroon and I embraced. We had a nice, warm, heartfelt hug, and I gave him a kiss on the cheek before the show. And I invited you to come into the hug, and you declined
because I knew what you were doing.
What do you mean? What I was doing?
Chris,
there is a proven hormonal response, a biological response to a long, heartfelt embrace. And I was just bringing out the chemicals in his body, baby.
Yeah, that was your way of getting him to team up with you against me on this show.
He hasn't teamed
10
up.
10 seconds into the show, you call me Fat Albert, Said.
You did do that.
I just said it sounded like, hey. I did not call you Fat Albert.
You just...
I was the one that's always had your back. This is the guy that used to get at you, not me.
No, I've been supportive of his weight loss journey.
Me too.
I've been very happy with, frankly, just his overall demeanor.
He's been doing great.
I mean...
I see him on the watch.
You sound insincere.
Today he was a little light. I was checking his watch. He was a little light today. He didn't do much.
I don't get alerts for his workouts. Am I not following you?
He's not working out.
I'm not working out.
He's just active. Just active.
Yeah, it's better than I'm doing most days these days.
Really? Today you got a wild workout in.
Yeah. I did a lot of so I've been doing cardio like 20 minutes to get warm, and then I'll do like an Olympic lifting session, almost like CrossFit style, but not that wild, more paced and just at my own cadence. Mm-hmm. Where I'm doing like clean push press, front squat, and I'll just do that and I just keep a good sweat going.
Yeah, just on rotation.
Yeah,
like a circuit.
Yeah, all my lifts are circuits. I never just go in and like lift like one lift at a time.
Oh yeah.
I don't have time, man. You know, that dad life, bro.
Really? I thought you used to be into like bodybuilding style lifting.
Even then I would do a circuit. Like I would do like if it were leg day, I would do like legs and shoulders because they're two just very different muscle groups.
Yeah, it's like full body, yeah.
Not full body. I would just work two muscle groups that are, you know, adjacent body parts. Like I wouldn't do like
back and biceps.
I'll still do back and biceps on I know a lot of people are like, oh, you should have an arm day, bro. But I'm not that guy.
No, yeah, I'm past that.
I'm not that guy because I look at like you can use like chest and back are bigger muscle groups, and I can work a smaller muscle group like back and bis the same day and just work out till fatigue and then we call it a wrap. Get like 8 lifts in, I'm done. But volume, baby.
Yeah, I've recently now. I'm new. Don't get at me.
Working out, yeah, I know.
Yeah. No, this time around, I'm sticking through for the rest of the year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've adopted the Mind Pump way.
Oh.
Yeah, 3 days a week, full body, 3 days a week. So that
full body 3 days a week.
Yeah, because what I started to notice is because I used to lift the same style, right? Where I'll do like something like back and biceps, or you know, chest and triceps, maybe mix in a little bit of shoulders with that too, right? And then I'll do legs day. But then I'll notice that if I did have to cut out a workout during the week, I'd always find a way to cut out legs. And I know that's shocking. They're so strong.
I am refraining from commenting on the obvious.
So I was like, no, man, I got to find a way to make sure I hit every muscle group at least twice a week. And this way I'll hit it 3 times a week.
See, my problem with the full body workouts is if done right, you fatigue heavy.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is like, I want to be tired and I want to feel like I got a good workout in, but I want to wake up the next day and have certain parts of my body that are sore because if I do get time to work out, I want to be able to work out again the next day. Or like I kind of have like a cadence now with our schedule, recording schedule that I know is pretty consistent, but I'm only really lifting hard 3 days a week. What you need to get on is BPC 157 from Transcend.
That's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of good things.
Just the recovery alone. I was recovering faster. My digestive system was so much better. I mean, it was notable for me.
So if you're recovering faster, your muscles are no longer feeling sore, but does it also help you recover with your tendons if like your tendons are a little tight and sore too?
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but I don't really have that experience. I couldn't really speak to it. But yeah, I'll tell you that one of the guys that I really look up to that talks to me a lot about like lifting and stuff like that, I'll run stuff by. He was like, bro, why are you even on creatine anymore? Like you have BPC, you have that in your system, you'll be fine. Your cover will be
really
amazing.
Oh, okay. Well, creatine has so many other benefits too.
I never stopped taking it.
Yeah.
I've been on creatine for years.
Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't mean to get off topic. Many of these markets that we spoke about, the top 10 there, ending with San Jose, were heavily investor-driven over the last few years. A lot of investors in the markets. According to the latest data, investor home purchases are down nearly 50% this year. So whenever I talk about, yo, man, like, I don't know how to tell you this, bro, but like, wholesaling is here to stay, okay? Like, I listened to Lawrence Yuna of the National Association of Realtors, and like, man, like, your vibes are all wrong, bro. You're giving me like trauma.
I haven't gotten hip to the trauma one. I haven't heard that yet. I know you keep citing it.
Oh, I've heard it a lot.
Yeah, you're giving me trauma.
It's like I'm getting like trauma from you right now.
That's blowing shit out of proportion. That's facts. A little too much for me. Facts.
Yeah,
I like the facts.
Not like I'm getting trauma. Like the vibes I'm getting are trauma. Like trauma vibes.
Oh, like you? Yeah. Oh, I've been traumatized.
It's giving trauma.
Like,
it's giving negativity. You know, whatever you get. I got to break you in. Here's what I'll do. I'll take you to LA. We'll go to like a really hip coffee spot and we'll talk to like the younger people.
Okay.
People that look my age, 20s. and then,
you're holding on to that, huh? That made your week, huh?
Yeah, it did. All right, so I'm going to go back to this article because the last quotes are important. And yes, according to the latest data, investor home purchases are down nearly 50% this year. All as tons of Airbnb properties in major cities are hitting the market. The return of supply would break this market. I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
I don't think so.
What?
Airbnb only makes up 1%, not less than 1% of the market.
The return of supply would break this market. Airbnb is just only one portion.
I thought it meant the return of the supply from Airbnb.
No, this is a multi cocktail of factors. Much like affordability would have to have wages go down, go up, rates go down, and home prices go down. This is basically saying that as investors pull out of the market, Airbnb properties hit the market, and you have home prices declining in these markets, that Molotov cocktail would ultimately lead to more supply.
Right. So there's a Wall Street Journal that we referenced earlier on the show that I didn't get a chance to reference this, but it makes sense to bring it up here, that institutional investors really took a hit, and 2 of them being Avalon Bay Communities and Equity Residential, which was founded by,
I don't know,
R.I.P. Sam Zell.
Oh, what a fucking G.
Gangster.
I want to do a full episode on what a thug that dude was.
Yeah, man. He deserves it. He definitely deserves it.
And I almost thought, because we are in the process of making merch, for those of you who stayed this far on the show, thank you. We're in the process of making merchandise, which shirts, T-shirts, and hats, which we hope to be able to sell to those of you who supported the show and asked for a way to support the show. Obviously, we prefer you click on the link, go to Transcend, and talk to somebody there. But if you can't do that or you won't do that, or you just think, you know what, I want to be a walking billboard for these guys, we love you and we got you.
Yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to do, and I thought may have crossed the line, is I wanted to have a shirt that said R.I.P. Sam Zell on the front and Kermit the Frog on the back.
Wow. Oh, okay, that part. I was about to say R.I.P. Sam Zell. That was your idea.
Yeah.
Oh.
That you gave me via text message.
This guy, wild. The idea was to come out with the
Don't you say it first, bro. Nobody cares.
The idea was to come out with the RIP Sam Zell shirt and donate all the profits from that one specific shirt into any of his like nonprofit organizations that he's associated with.
If we get the merch e-com site set up, and that's some of them have that built in, where they have like a charitable foundation service, then we'll figure that out. But logistically, I don't know how we do it right now.
So those two institutional investors, right? Avalon Bay Communities and Equity Residential, they're both real estate investment trusts that we've routinely talked about on the show. Their shares have fallen 6% and 18% respectively.
Wow.
So far on the year, right? Yeah. And they're taking a major hit. And a company like Equity Residential, they have approximately 80,000 units.
Yeah, a lot.
That's a lot, man.
Hey, man, Sam Zell was a billionaire, dude.
I know, but
balling out of control.
Next level.
Yeah, out here.
Self-made.
I want to go into extra innings to cover the National Association of Realtors lawsuit.
This is so good to really.
You want to do that?
Yeah, we can do that. We can go to extra innings.
All right,
it might be good enough to save for the next episode. You know?
Nah, let's play the audio. Let's cock tease it a little bit, and then we'll see how people feel about it.
It's been a rocky few months for the National Association of Realtors. While the powerful trade group faces 2 class action lawsuits, angry staffers are pressing for major leadership changes after a sexual harassment scandal sparked the exit of one president and cries for the resignation of another. The 2 landmark antitrust cases allege NAR, which has a reported 1.5 million members and $1.5 billion in assets across the U.S., colluded with some of the nation's top brokerages to inflate commissions paid by home sellers. The suits have been billed as titanic legal showdowns that could force defendants to pay punishing damages. Some brokerages named alongside NAR have already settled. RE/MAX agreed to pay $55 million to extricate itself from the antitrust cases, while Anywhere Real Estate, the parent company of the Corcoran Group, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, and Sotheby's International Realty, agreed to shell out $83.5 million to settle the lawsuits. But those numbers pale in comparison to the reported $4 billion on the line if a jury rules in the plaintiff's favor. The cases have inspired a radical reassessment of NAR in the resi real estate community. Redfin recently announced it will require its agents to cancel their memberships to NAR, with CEO Glenn Kelman pointing to the trade group's rules requiring buyers' agents' fees on every listing and rules preventing Redfin.com from showing for sale by owner listings alongside agent listings as core reasons. For its part, NAR has laid out a doomsday scenario for the industry if home sellers prevail in 2 lawsuits. The trade group warned that a ruling against NAR could render buyers' agents unaffordable, block equal access to listings, and restrict buyer choice. NAR's general counsel said that if the association isn't allowed to continue with some of its practices, quote, the industry would be forced back into the 19th century, or what we see in the Wild West, where unscrupulous people could regularly defraud clients. Along with the external challenges, NAR is dealing with internal turmoil. Tracy Casper took helm of the organization this summer following the departure of President Kenny Parcell, who resigned amid allegations of sexual harassment and fostering a culture of fear within the powerful trade association. While Casper's turn at the head of the embattled org has been a long time coming, staffers are pressing for widespread leadership changes, alleging upper-level management, Casper included, was aware of Parcell's pattern of misconduct, but prioritized protecting the president over the well-being of the staff. For more on NAR's many dramas, follow.
Wow. The first thing that came to mind when I heard this whole thing was, get the fuck out of here. Back to the 19th century, the wild, wild west. How fucking arrogant can you be? First of all, Zillow and Redfin could turn on a listing service right now and wipe them out instantaneously. The only problem is they would be just as greedy as these assholes would be.
Man, I just can't believe that the National Association of Realtors are like what they want to die on the hill of requiring a fee.
It's a monopoly. It's a twisted ass backward monopoly. That's what antitrust lawsuits are trying to break down the monopoly. These fucking guys are and I'm so tired of Lawrence Yun and the rest of them and their scare tactic bullshit.
Right.
Okay? Like, oh, I'm in a position of power so I can scare people with, oh, the Fed is killing the American dream, or oh, you're going to get thrown back into the 19th century if we're not around. That sounds like a lot of arrogant shit. That sounds like every person who breaks up with somebody and says, you're never going to find someone like me again. The fuck?
That's a good point. That does sound a lot like that. You're right.
Heard that a lot during your lifetime?
No, actually. No. What are you doing, man?
Just quotes, bars.
Quotes.
So I've been following this for a long time, and a lot of people have been sending us messages talking a lot about, hey, like, what's going on with this? Aren't you guys going to talk about it? And I've been kind of waiting for things to develop. It says a lot when two of the largest real estate companies in the U.S. have paid $55 million and $83.5 million just to get the fuck away from this. They're saying, look, we don't want any part of it.
Yeah, that's got to be the alarming thing, right? If Remax, I think, paid, what was it, $50-some million?
55, yeah.
$55 million already. They're like, man, the writing's on the wall on this. Let me get out of this right now.
Because it is a monopoly. I'll give you a great example. What are your choices? Instead of using a realtor, what are your choices today? For sale by owner, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Their trade rules prevent everybody else from helping you list that property. That's why Redfin's so pissed.
Right.
Why can't I list a for sale by owner on my website next to yours? If it's a competitive property, why is competition, quote, bad for the market?
Right.
Okay, it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to take a car ride somewhere and you wanted to pay for a ride service, you can take Uber.
Usually
you can take, what's the other one called? Lyft, right? There's space for competition. Competition is good.
Right. I mean, usually with monopolies like this, I'm surprised that this isn't on, Congress's table.
You know what? And I'm going to start a competing organization. I'm going to start my own trade group. Instead of being called realtors, I'm going to be called realtors, the way it should be fucking spelled in the first place.
Oh.
We're a realtor.
Yeah, why do they do that?
And I'm going to put some weird-ass tilde over the A.
Just because
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
Dude, Adam's at a point where he's reading now, and I got to start explaining to him, like, so this is knife. The K is silent. He's looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, it's knife.
Like, what do you mean? The K is silent.
Kniffy.
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Our language is fucked up. When you have kids and you try to explain it to people.
It's so fucked up.
Yeah, like gnome.
Yeah.
Gnome.
Yeah.
Gnome.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Right.
Yeah, we got all this silent shit, and there's no rules for it. It's just like, it looks like it could be silent. You're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Next article from the Wall Street Journal. Real estate commissions could be the next fee on the chopping block. The pair of lawsuits we just spoke about seeks billions in damages, alleging the home sales industry has conspired to keep costs high. And let's just be clear, from the Real Deal's quote that we just played, the video, the former president of the trade group is out on allegations of sexual harassment and misconduct, and his replacement, the female, whose name escapes me at the moment, apparently has been rumored to have conspired to keep him safe and is now taking charge of the organization.
Wow, really?
This sounds like a really ethical group. So the idea that they may have conspired to keep costs high sounds pretty fucking plausible to me. But then you throw in circumstantial evidence like, I don't know, two of your largest real estate brokerages in the country have paid $55 million and $83.5 million. I don't know how to say this, but they're saying guilty as fuck, Your Honor.
It looks pretty guilty.
They're giving vibes.
Yeah, all the vibes.
All the vibes.
So you really think that their commissions are on the chopping block? We posed that question not too long ago.
Yeah, so I think what's going to happen is, number one, what keeps the realtor system in place, is that the consumer generally doesn't have the financial literacy or willingness to understand real estate, and they need somebody there to be like their thought leader or somebody to go to as a mentor in this process. They want to put that stress onto somebody else. It doesn't always work, and generally speaking, you as a home buyer know the stress if you've been trying to do it. But technology can displace real estate agents. I pose a question, should real estate agents have a flat fee? People are like, well, a commission is a flat fee because it's just a flat number. No, it's not. It's adjustable based on the commission of the home. What I'm suggesting is, why can't a website say, hey, if your home value is between this and this, this is our fee. If it's between this and this, this is our fee. And it's just a flat $1,000 fee, $3,000 fee, and they work on volume.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
I would take that, if it meant the same transaction. But everybody who's tried to do that has failed, right? Like Open Door. A lot of people who are in the displaced, the realtor camp, the realtors spend, the National Association of Realtors. I can't say the word without saying realtors because now I'm already starting my own trade group. They spend a shit ton of money on lobbying and politics and manipulating things and like data, right? And the home builders do the same thing. Mortgage Bankers Association do the same thing, but the National Association of Realtors is far more powerful. Okay. Open Door has come along from a technology perspective. And Adam, Sexy Adam from Mind Pump, has been an investor and believer in Open Door. And a lot of people that I know are, but in order for them to be successful, this trade group has to lose some power.
So what is Open Door's model?
Open Door is basically, and I don't know if you looked at some of their properties, but basically anybody can go look at their property, right?
You don't need a real estate agent.
You don't need a real estate agent.
That's typically why you need a real estate agent to get into a home you want to look at.
Yeah, you can download their app on your mobile device, and you can go see any home in their ecosystem by just going to the home, and it's all scheduled. It's all on there. You can literally go, I want to see this property this day and time. It's when it's available, right? And you'll go to the property, and you'll have access without a realtor. And you can, I keep saying realtor. I hate that fucking word. You can go see the property by yourself. And the whole idea is that it's going to displace this particular trade group, the National Association of Realtors, over time. And there's a lot of people who believe in it.
What's the incentive for somebody to go with someone over? Like, do they pay less to their agent? You
would pay a lot less commission. They would still have, you're still paying a pretty good amount. For them, they're able to buy a property, sight unseen. You can buy a property and sell your property directly to them. It's a pretty interesting concept. I don't want to unpack the whole thing. I'm not a subject matter expert on it, but I do know kind of the rough outline of their model. But check it out. Open Door is an interesting technology platform that if they lose this and it opens up the floodgates,
yes, they
will most likely be the emerging leader, followed quickly by other people who have the technology in place, Redfin and Zillow. And Redfin already seems like they're on the attack by trying to separate themselves from the National Association.
I sure hope so. I like the people over at Redfin. I like their
data. Data's great. And I will say, as much as I rag on people at Zillow, their culture internally is very employee-centric, and a lot of their employees there are very happy.
Yeah.
So kudos to them for that.
Yeah, I know of one listener that works at Zillow that routinely listens to the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
We love you, Zillow.
Yeah.
Employees.
Not your data.
Your data, not so much. But we all have fun. Haroon, we tapped out for the show. Is that it?
That's it. You got anything? You got anything, Odin?
Nope.
Nothing from the pop culture space, huh?
NBA season starts tomorrow.
Ooh, that's right, baby.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah, of course you wouldn't know that.
All right, so you guys gonna actually watch physical games now?
No, there's no time. But I'll probably catch, like last season, I caught a couple fourth quarters. That was it, which is really sad.
I think I watched 2 full Laker games,
which is really, really sad.
That's 2 more and a couple more fourth quarters than I saw.
Yeah, we caught one here. We made you stay late so we could watch it, and you were like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here."
Yeah, on the way home when I left, because I knew you were watching on a bit of a delay, I almost sent you guys the results.
Wow.
Just fuck up your whole night.
Wow.
They lost, bitch. Peace. Go ahead, it's some video.
Dick.
What a piece of shit.
I was thinking the other day, we haven't gotten a nice glass of alcohol on the show. We should smoke cigars in here one day and just chop it up and like really make this place smell like ass.
I've never enjoyed a cigar.
I would think you, of all people, would love something old and dirty in your mouth.
No.
Long, dark.
I could have gone that route, but I don't think the size matters to him.
Yeah. Or the color. Doesn't matter.
Get you one of those little cigaritos.
Cigaritos? No, I like hookah. I do like hookah.
Yeah, it's bigger, more powerful. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked hookah, but it gets me dizzy. And I got to be honest, that it just feels more toxic.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel good for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's one of those things you do and you're like, this is going to kill me.
It feels very relaxing, though.
Relaxing? Yeah, I get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I haven't had hookah. True story. Years and years and years ago, I took my siblings and my then, not my wife, my then girlfriend, but now my wife, to Seattle. We took them I wanted to take 2 of my younger siblings to show them a really nice time. So we went to Seattle and we went to a lot of high-end food places, and it was very quickly apparent they didn't appreciate like how high-end some of these restaurants. We went to like full chef serving meal, like very high-end restaurants, and they were like, "Oh my god, like what's this?" And you're just like, "Fuck."
Why are the portions so small?
Like it's what, molecular? Is it science? And you're just like, fuck, man. And it was like egregiously expensive. I think I was paying like $600 per person.
Jeez.
I mean, really high end shit. So after one of these meals they didn't appreciate, they wanted to go out drinking. And they were both of age at the time, newly turned in the young 20s. And my sister, who went with me, was on her phone the whole time talking to her girlfriend who's going through some kind of breakup, like walking through the streets of Seattle. And she was like, oh my God, like he doesn't deserve you. And I'm just like, fuck.
Jeez.
I got to listen to this shit for fucking 3 more days. Then my brother, the whole time, is just got into drinking.
Oh, so he's, yeah.
So he wants to go drink. So we decide we're going to go drink.
On older brother's tab, too? Oh,
Yeah,
let's go.
and they did not pull back. So we walk into this place, and the guy who worked there looked just like Colin Farrell.
Okay.
Fucking dead ringer for him. And I'm pretty sure he's hitting on my wife, then girlfriend. In the event, we go there, we drink, and we get a bunch of like really crazy, zany, like cocktails from the menu, and we're all having a good time. One of the drinks, which I ordered for me, was served in an IV bag. And the bartender warned me, said, hey, it's a whiskey-based drink, but it is extremely strong. It's like 4 or 5 drinks in one. He's like, pace yourself. This one hits people pretty hard. So I was like, okay, then I'll just order this for the night, and that'll be my thing. I'll just sip and drink this thing. My brother starts saying he can outdrink me.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, okay, I don't think this is a wise decision for both of us, because I got to get us back to our Airbnb at the time. And I don't want to die, and I'm pretty sure it's what it's going to take for you to match me. So he starts drinking. He starts drinking straight from the IV bag. He gets just incredibly intoxicated. I got to wind him down somehow, so I get the bright idea. There's a hookah bar nearby.
Oh, no.
We go to the hookah bar. We're sitting down, and it's my wife, myself, and everyone. And I think it was mostly Arabic, like hookah bar. It wasn't like, they have different cultures.
Yeah, you got to pay a membership fee up there, I think.
This one you didn't have to, apparently, but it was nice. And it was clearly a bunch of people who knew each other, and then there was us, and we didn't fit in.
Okay.
My brother says he's going to go to the bathroom. He's very drunk at this point. And he's telling people in the hookah bar that he's Steph Curry's cousin. Right? Telling everybody he's Steph Curry's cousin, and it's obnoxious. So I'm happy he's going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
He goes to the bathroom, and we're doing the hookah, and I'm getting a little lightheaded now. And everybody, we're talking, we're like, where the fuck did he go? Meanwhile, I see this angry line of dudes waiting to use the restroom.
Oh, no.
Right? He was last time I saw him was going that direction. I walk in front of the line. They're like pissed off that I think I'm cutting in line. I knock on the door. He's in there. I go in the bathroom with him in there, and these line of dudes are just ready to fucking murder me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, you gotta get your shit together. He's like, bro, I've only been here for 2 minutes. I'm like, you've been in here for like an hour. Right?
Oh,
He
man.
is gone.
Yeah.
I decide we're gonna leave. I grab him. We go out front. He falls into a bush. And he's telling people he's Steph Curry's cousin. At this point, I just like, it's embarrassing. Right? Like, it's such a random ass thing to say.
Steph Curry.
He gets into somebody else's lift and takes off.
No.
And my wife, my sister, and I are still there. They're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, nothing. This problem just solved itself.
I can't believe you just ratted out your brother like this.
The Uber comes,
Yeah.
right? I'm ready to go back to the hotel. I mean, he'll find a way.
Yeah, he's going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. It's either fight or flight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to figure it out, right?
Sink or swim, son.
As we get in the Uber to leave, the lift came back around the block and dropped him off.
Oh, no. Wow.
Yeah, that was the last time I went to a hookah bar.
Wow. Okay. Jeez.
Yeah.
Poor Arya. You think he's listening to this?
Hell no. His friend was like, yo, you got a great podcast, man. I'm like, thank you. He's like, why didn't your brother tell me? He's been gatekeeping this from me. Also a millennial word. And I'm like, yeah, he doesn't listen to the show. He goes, oh, why is that? And I'm like, because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he doesn't listen to the show.
Come on, man.
Let me take you guys out there. Everybody, I'll leave you guys all one last friendly tip. Okay? Haroon, I would value your opinion on this tip because I think it's a valuable piece of information.
I value your opinion too.
No, you don't. If you have a friend, coworker, colleague, an associate, somebody who anecdotally tells you they have a podcast, please, for all of us in this space, don't say, I don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
I would listen, but I don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah. What does that mean?
That means you're an asshole. Okay? Here's what you say. Oh, I generally don't listen to podcasts, but I'll check it out.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Or, hey, great, I'll give you a review sometime. Or, oh, tell me about it.
Right.
To just wipe it out. That's like me saying, hey, Chris, did you see that article from CNBC? And me going, I don't read.
I know, exactly. Hey, I just came out with a book. You know what? I don't really read books.
Yeah, I don't really read, but if I did, I'd love to check it out. Unfortunately, I don't read.
That's such an asshole.
It sounds so stupid.
It sounds like you're trying to be mean.
Yeah. Man, that's dope, but I don't really listen to podcasts, man.
Right.
Well, fuck me.
Yeah, well, do us a favor. Whether it's on Apple or Spotify, however you listen to the show.
You're such a whore.
Yeah, I have to do this.
You did it already once.
If you're here after an hour and a half and you still have not left us an honest 5-star review, we would greatly appreciate it. It helps out the show tremendously.
Make a fake name.
Yeah. Make a fake name. If you don't want your name out there because we read the reviews, make a fake name. Make it funny. You know what we need to do? We need to start... Once we get the merch, we'll hand out merch to the best review.
My mom did that early in the day.
Is that what they did?
Yeah, that was.
Well, I know they do. They hand out programs now for the best comment on YouTube.
So back in the day, they would hand out free merch to the best review.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing.
That was the thing. Okay, well, now they're handing out a free program, which probably runs $100. So that means we should price our merch at $100.
I really do want high quality merch, man. Like I want
No, we're getting good quality stuff.
You do realize that's super expensive for us to buy, right?
Yes.
Okay, just to be clear.
Yeah. So make sure you head over to Transcend.
Yeah, we're gonna need a lot of people going to that Transcend link. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just consult with somebody over there.
Just ask them this one question and then buy it. Just say, "What's your most expensive product?" And then whatever they say.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Odun, you got anything?
Nope.
You really hurt his feelings at the top of the show, man.
What did I say?
Dude, you can't. Come on, man.
What did I do? Come on,
the
man.
Fat Albert thing, that was so out of line.
I said hello.
No, that's not even right. That's not even what you said.
That's what he said.
You said, hey.
I said, he said hello. I said, that sounded like hey.
Yeah, that's fucked up, man. Come on.
Because it sounds like it?
And you want me to Google him and show you a picture of him?
Yeah.
Who said Google him?
You demanded
did.
that he Google him.
Wow, you guys. I'm done talking to you guys.
You
Said, hey,
didn't-
bitch.
Yeah. Hey, bitch. Google a picture of your fat self.
First of all, I don't say bitch like that.
You know?
How do you say it?
How do you say it?
I don't say it at all.
Oh,
That's it for tonight's show, everybody. Tune in next week where I'm a lot nicer to Odun because he's very salty.
You wouldn't know. Only I kissed him.
This got very awkward at the end of the show. Between your hookah story in Seattle and this conversation.
That was a good story.
Yeah. Let us know in the comment section on YouTube if you thought that was a good story.
Why are you being such an asshole tonight? Are you not happy?
No, I'm very happy.
What's wrong?
Nothing.
You want to talk about it?
No. I love you, man. I love both of you guys.
I love you too.
All right.
Even though you can be mean.
Sometimes.
love you guys.
Love
Yeah.
you.
Aw.
Aw.
Buddy.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Bye.